Ladies and gentlemen, this is the 12th and final round.
Right hand, Golovkin steps in and down he goes again. Unbelievable. Mayweather makes him pay. What a rookie mistake. A sensational left hook by De La Hoya.
It's facts. I'm the best. You know what I mean? Sometimes I don't want to believe it myself, but it's the truth. I'm the best. I'm going to show you how great I am.
From Southern California, this is the Last Round Podcast.
Welcome back to this week's episode of the Last Round Boxing Podcast. Thank you again for joining us, jumping straight back into it this past Saturday, April 11th, 2026. The comeback after, I think it was 16 months, 16 or 18 months. I believe it was 16 months. The comeback of Tyson Fury at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in London. So selling out one of those football/soccer stadiums, and also on Netflix. So essentially the biggest streamer, the biggest broadcaster in the world today. Tyson Fury defeats, I believe by unanimous decision, Arslanbek Makhmudov. I can never say these guys' names, but Arslanbek Makhmudov. I hope I said it right. If not, you can correct me when I pass it to you in a second. Fury is now 35-2-1, and as I mentioned, I think it was 16-month layoff. Was it a retirement? I don't even remember, but you can kind of tell me on that. Didn't he say he retired at the 16 months ago, and now he's back? But I think he's done that multiple times. The scores were 120-108 twice and 119-109, all three in favor of Tyson Fury. Give me your reaction, Mike. What'd you think about Fury's comeback? Before actually you talk about his actual performance, what'd you think about, I guess, the pageantry and the entertainment aspect of the event being on Netflix? I guess the entrances, and he also had a tribute to the hitman Ricky Hatton as well. So what was your reaction to the event?
I thought the build-up to the event was a little bit more, it wasn't as crazy as we've kind of expected, I guess, from Tyson Fury, but maybe because Makhmudov didn't play into it. But Fury were normally used to kind of, craziness going on, like him singing and coming into the, to the press conferences wearing like a crazy suit, and his dad starting a fight with somebody or headbutting someone, something like that, which is kind of the usual Fury like entourage doing stuff. So I don't know, maybe he feels he doesn't need to do that anymore, or maybe the fact that it was on Netflix and it wasn't pay-per-view, he didn't need to try to, push it more and sell the fight more. Or maybe he's just matured. He's nearly 40 years old, so maybe he's grown out of those antics. I don't know. But the Netflix, it was clean. I thought it looked good on the screen, stuff like that. It was easy to access. I had no problems watching it. I didn't really see anybody on Twitter saying that, they couldn't access it or anything like that. So, Netflix has been around the game for a long time, even though they've kind of new to live events, but, very polished. But then the fight itself, I think we knew going in, unless Fury had really, really lost it in the 16-month break from the game. I think he knew he was going to win. I thought he would have, probably have dominated early with his long jab, a lot of his feints. He kind of feints and forces his opponent to hesitate before kind of he throws. He doesn't really just control the distance. He kind of controls your confidence because of the way he's always like, twitching and jabbing and feinting, which kind of like tires the opponent out because it just mentally drains you. And then obviously, Makhmudov was tailor-made for Fury. Very slow, very basic, just big, strong, good chin. And I think the only thing we really missed from that was probably a knockout. If he's that would have been good just to kind of put the cherry on top with him to just have got a knockout. But in terms of, if I'm comparing Fury to Fury, it definitely wasn't his A game. Nowhere near. I think if we're putting the Wilder and the Klitschko as in like Fury A game, I think this was more C. But Fury is one of those guys who I think that when he fights lesser opponents, he kind of fights terrible, kind of like Teofimo Lopez. When he fights someone that he's not really got his game up for, he looks poor. But when you stick Teo or Fury in with a Wilder or a Klitschko, or Teo in with like a Josh Taylor, I don't know, there's something about that big fight that just gets them going and they perform better. So hopefully for us, if he's going to fight a Joshua or someone else next, then that's what we see. But also, as we've said on the show consistently, Father Time's undefeated. He had 16 months away. He's got older. He's sat at home, probably eating, drinking like the rest of us, living a civilian life. And, maybe he is, Father Time's just catching up with him. I would stick him in personally with like a Joshua or someone around that, like, some of the older heavyweights, but sticking him in there with like a Moses Zatauma, an Usyk again. I would maybe stick him in with Fabio Wardley, though. Wardley's kind of basic, powerful, but basic. And I think if we rolled it back to Fury under, Peter Fury and like a Ben Davidson, I think that Fury would win. But going in there and trying to stand and bang like he does under Sugar, I don't know, because Wardley can take a punch and Wardley's younger, probably fitter, maybe more powerful, even though he is, substantially smaller.
You mentioned Sugar Hill. What was the situation with Fury having Sugar Hill as a trainer? Because wasn't there some news prior that he wasn't going to have? Because I feel like on the broadcast when they saw Sugar Hill in the corner, they're like, "Oh, he's actually his trainer." Was there some type of confusion prior to that?
I mean, I saw the interview like weeks in advance when the fight was confirmed, and he kind of was playing that Sugar wasn't going to be there. And then his brother, I watched an interview with his brother Huey, and he was saying that he would like for him to go with somebody else, and he named a few different people, but he said, it's up to Tyson to see whether they'll gel. And then when they kind of said it on the broadcast, I already knew because I'd already seen it online that he actually was going to be with Sugar Hill. I didn't know if they were saying that as sarcastic, sarcastically saying, "Oh, look, Sugar Hill's here," like kind of like WWE style. But yeah, I mean, I at the beginning I believed it because I thought maybe him and Sugar or Tyson wanted somebody new because he's been through a few different trainers over the years. Maybe he thought he needed a new voice in the corner to reawaken him. But then, yeah, Sugar was in there. So, but Tyson's like, I think I've said it before, like Tyson's kind of like a Manny Pacquiao or a Floyd. He's that good. He could probably train himself. He could just get someone to make sure that he's physically fit. I think his boxing IQ is so high that I could probably get in there and train him, and we'd do pretty well because he's just that good.
No, I can see that. Yeah, I was confused when I heard that, when the commentators were essentially confused when they saw Sugar Hill on the broadcast. And I thought, oh, well, I mean, was there any news prior to this saying that Fury wasn't going to be trained by Sugar Hill? So I assumed there was a change in the game plan. But I also, like you said, it did cross my mind that Fury was possibly playing some type of mind game or being sarcastic, or like you said, including a little bit of the WWE professional wrestling side to kind of just, surprise. Here's your surprise entrant or whatever. So yeah, that was interesting to me. But I mean, what did you really expect? Did you really expect a Tyson Fury knockout or a stoppage for this fight after 16 months? I mean,
yeah,
because
Dave Allen rocked Makhmudov, I think twice. I think if I remember watching that fight, he kind of rocked him against the ropes, and I was thinking, oh wow, if he's rocking him. And then Makhmudov seems to tire. I thought Fury's game plan was going to be the usual, make him move, make him miss, tire him out, lean on him, slow him down. Eventually, he'll just wear him out. And whether he, knocks him out or, just combination punches to the point where the referee jumps in and stops the fight for a TKO. I thought that's what he was going to do. And I think it was Sugar even said to him in the 11th, pretty much told him hey, get out there and knock him out.
Get the KO. I think he said something like put the KO in Kronk or something like that.
Yeah, I think he said something like those lines. Yeah. So I thought he could have done it. I don't know whether it was just maybe he didn't want to take the risk because he'd been out the ring for so long that he was like, you know what, I don't want to open up and start throwing because, you know, Makhmudov had finished about 90% of his opponents in like the first round. So obviously there's power in there. But I think, you know, by the 10th, 11th, 12th, he seemed pretty out on his feet and was just kind of looking to survive. I think you even saw him looking up at the how much time was left.
I noticed that, yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I think that would have been a good way to finish it, but, you know, Tyson didn't get it, couldn't get it, something along those lines.
Maybe I should have looked at it differently, but English fans still showed up. He still packed the stadium, you know? So, I mean, is that surprising or is that pretty much expected?
I mean, I think he even said like 66,000, so I don't think it's sold out completely.
But that's still a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, compared to the US, that's amazing. You don't really.
Yeah, that's my reference point, I guess.
Yeah, I think they were decently priced this time around because I did see, is it Boxing Ticks or whatever, the one that we follow on?
There's an account online. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he did show like previously, like it wasn't selling like great numbers like a normal Fury fight, but. You know, he's been out the ring for, you know, a period of time. It's the middle of like soccer season. I don't think the weather's great as well at like Easter in the UK. So there was things kind of going against it. You know, the economy, but not everyone has, you know, money to blow on boxing tickets and stuff right now.
Right.
So, but yeah, still great numbers. And then obviously, you know, if we're looking at the Joshua fight next, that'll sell out Wembley, I'm pretty sure.
I mean, yeah, it was kind of like the perfect storm, right? Because you know, we'll dive into it in a second, but AJ was obviously ringside with Eddie Hearn. So was Turki Al-Sheikh, you know, and Fury wins. You know, there's like a little promo on after, and they're trying to drum up some interest there. But you know, for kind of looking at it from Netflix perspective, and Netflix being a global company, you know, they have certain shows that tailor to certain regions of the world. They looked at it and they were proposed, okay, the two biggest, most popular names in British boxing right now, at least for the last several years, Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua, two heavyweights, mind you, who are, you know, even everybody draws to heavyweights just because they're like big. And Netflix probably looked at it as, okay, we can get that fight, the biggest British fight that could be made between these two 6'6", 6'9" guys, like just monsters. And we put it on our streaming platform and we promote, which they did, we promote our shows that are based in the UK. And they did. There was like, they had actors there ringside and some other people who I guess were on some type of English shows or upcoming English shows that we're going to stream on Netflix. So, I mean, essentially, yeah, it's a perfect storm, right, for Tyson Fury and AJ. And I'm sure Tyson Fury told Netflix, like, hey, you know, I'm going to take another fight before, but, you know, before AJ and I fight. And seems like obviously Netflix agreed to it. I mean, it worked out. It worked out with Netflix coming in. Because, I mean, a year ago, 2 years ago, would you have put money on that, like Netflix would have put Tyson Fury and Makhmudov on as an event?
No.
Right.
No.
Like there's obviously something like that Tyson Fury and, you know, his team probably had to tell Netflix, like, hey, you know, give me this fight, put it on to introduce me to the Netflix, you know, viewers, essentially. And then with AJ fighting Jake Paul, you know, the last time and actually beating him and being in Florida. And I mean, we talked about it, right? There was a lot of people in the United States, you know, they tuned in because of Jake Paul, because, you know, he's an American. And that was the first time that a lot of Americans became aware of Anthony Joshua. And there was a lot of people, like, especially women, who were just like, who is this guy? You know, like, and it increased his profile. So I'm sure Netflix was like, perfect. I mean, they had some tweets that went into like the hundreds of millions or 50 million impressions or views or whatever. So it all worked out. I guess it all worked out, right? And the whole plan is for at least Netflix, is to their end goal is to get Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua, right? I mean, because like I said a year or two ago, I don't think we would have guessed Netflix would have streamed Tyson Fury versus Makhmadov, but there has to be a payoff for them, right?
I mean, but the thing is, if you're DAZN and like AJ signs that exclusive deal, right, with DAZN and Matchroom, and then he leaves to fight Jake Paul on Netflix, and then he leaves to fight Tyson Fury on Netflix, DAZN be like, well, what the fuck is the point in this exclusive deal? Like, aren't these the fights that we signed this for? Like, we want the cream of the crop, the biggest money earning fights.
But that just goes to show you how much power the Saudis have, right? Turkey al-Sheikh.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they're taking something. DAZN are getting a golden handshake of something amount, right? From Netflix. Yeah,
because I mean, what was the reported ownership interest or shares that the Saudis have in DAZN?
Is it like, I can't remember, is it 13% or is that 13%?
Something, it's over 10 for sure, right?
Yeah, because they own a bit of DAZN and they own a bit of Matchroom, right?
Right. So, I mean, you don't think that, I'm sure DAZN, like the brass at DAZN are like, hey, we signed you to this exclusive deal, but you're going to go and fight on this other broadcaster? I'm sure that does bother them, but you don't think the Saudis, with all the money that they have, talked to the bigwigs at DAZN and told them, hey, don't worry about it. Like, you know, our wallet's opening up wider for you. It's okay. So, you know, I'm sure it was just like, you know, we'll give you more money for these events and these events. I mean, that's the only thing that makes sense, right? Is that the financial muscle in the game right now are the Saudis. And they're the ones kind of like, nah, don't worry about it. Like, it'll be fine. We'll pay you more for this and pay you for that. It's not a big deal. I mean, that's the only kind of thing that makes sense if you kind of just try to speculate, right?
Yeah, I mean, the fact that when I'm going to move on to it soon, I'm sure like they paid $15 million to Conor Benn to be on that show. Essentially, looks like Turkey gave Zuffa that money, but then he fought on Netflix, which wasn't a Zuffa card. So, like you said, it was literally just to get the English fans on Netflix for that fight because they want those fans to see, or they were hoping to announce Fury AJ, but AJ kind of made it very awkward by just sitting in his seat and saying like, hey, like I'm the landlord, I'm not dancing to your tune, essentially.
I mean, like, I understand, but obviously you see him sitting there throughout the fight, and then for like 4 rounds, it looks like he was recording. So, like, and he didn't move, like he was in the same spot, like recording with his phone. At first I thought, watching the broadcast, that he was on the phone. Like he was talking to somebody on speakerphone or like FaceTime or something like that. And then the camera kind of kept panning to him, and you can kind of see him on the left side of the screen. And then I realized that he was filming it. I mean, it looked like he was filming it. Yeah. So that was interesting to me. And I hope, I mean, I don't know, did anybody ask him a question after? Like any reporter or any press? Because that's what I want to know, is why he felt the need to film it for like the last 4 rounds. You know, because he had the phone like in front of his face. Like it was like this. So, but like you said, AJ didn't want to play the game after the fight, which was surprising to me because I did believe that AJ was going to get into the ring and then you're going to see them kind of face off and kind of talk to each other and all that. But what do you think? If you were if you were a part of that event, would you have wanted to see AJ get in the ring, or do you understand why he did it? Why he didn't get into the ring and he just kind of stayed sitting down and didn't want to play Tyson Fury's game?
I can kind of see it from both sides. I can see where AJ's kind of like, no, like I'm not letting you call me out, and I'm gonna get into the ring, like Fury's the A side, like he's in control, like, hey, you come here, like he's calling him in, but at the same time, it ended up being so awkward because he didn't. That they always say, like, if you're taking something from sort of WWE, like once you finish like that one match, you should have the next one set up. Right. That was essentially what they did. It was kind of like a WWE thing where it was like, hey, like you're next, and to sell it, get AJ in, do this face off, whether they have a little push and shove or something like that. But I mean, it's that big a fight, especially in the UK, that it's going to sell out and do massive numbers. Be intrigued to see, but we never know for sure. How big that would be over here. I don't think it'd be huge, but I think we do okay numbers because Fury's kind of well known. He's been on Joe Rogan. Problem about AJ is he doesn't do much media at all. But
right.
Like you touched on, like he opened up a new door of fans with the Jake Paul thing. But then it's going to be in the middle of the afternoon on a Saturday if Turki Al-Sheikh's correct in saying that he's going to do it in England at Wembley. So
I mean, I think the market, the target demographic and the viewers for Netflix is Europe, right?
Yeah, I mean, you'd think so, right? With that card was entirely British, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, like I think they're hoping Americans will tune in, but I think they know, like, hey, our bread and butter, what we're targeting is England and European countries. So, and I mean, that's the biggest fight you can make. And you mentioned, this poses a question: who is the A side? Right.
That's what kind of like what AJ was saying, wasn't it? About they've tried to do the contracts before, and depending on who you believe, whether you believe Fury, whether you believe AJ, like it's all down to like who walks first. Are they going to get the exact amount of money, or is Fury saying, "Hey, I want 1 pence more than AJ because I'm the boss. I'm the A side."
Yeah.
Like, I mean, none of them have a strap. None of them have a strap. So it's like there's no way of saying, like, you know what, dude, like you deserve to walk first.
Well, who would you say is the A side? I honestly, like, if you're talking about recency bias, I would say it's AJ just because of the Jake Paul event. I think that right now that tips him over.
They're so hard to like compare because Fury's fought like a whole host of nobodies, but then he fought Wilder like 3 times.
3 times. 3 times.
And fought Klitschko, right? But then below that, like he never fought Pulev, he never fought Povetkin, he's never fought Parker, and I know he's good friends with Parker, but he didn't fight Ruiz. Whereas AJ, like he had consistently fought very good people. Fought Usyk, got defeated by Usyk, had the slip up against Ruiz. The same as, but then if you look at Fury, like he fought like all these people you'd never heard of until they fought Fury, like, and then a lot of them you've never seen again. Like they fought him and then just disappeared. Like it's kind of a very strange resume. So it's kind of like hard to really say like who gets it. Like,
I mean, do you think that they are just going to have to eventually come to like a 50-50 deal?
50-50 deal, or if they want to make it fair, like stream a coin toss.
And then it's like 60-40?
Then it's like, for like who walks first, who does this, coin toss, or if they're that crazy about the purses, it's, 45-45, the remaining 10% goes to the winner.
I mean, yeah, I think that's the most fair option, right? But I don't think they're... Yeah, I don't think that's good. They would do that. I think AJ would sign up for that, but I don't think Fury would sign up for that.
But if you think about it, we've been waiting for this for around 10 years.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
AJ competed and won in the 2012 London Olympics and then turned pro. And then Fury, around that was a pro and was fighting at those levels. And then we've been calling for it for probably 10 years, but then, as fans, we know it needs to marinate. So probably more like the last 6 to 8 years, really.
Right. It's crazy shit, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess it's perfect timing for them, right? Because it's going to be on Netflix. Back then, it wouldn't have been on Netflix. So it's like, the reference point is Mayweather Pacquiao. I mean, we waited a long time for that, at least in boxing terms. And yeah, if they would have fought earlier, it probably would have been a more competitive fight, but they made a ton of money. And
now, do you think, does AJ fight Wilder before?
I don't know. I mean, obviously Wilder just fought. And that was on DAZN, right?
Yeah, it was Queensberry on DAZN, yeah.
I mean, Wilder just fought, what was it, a couple weeks ago?
Was it last week or the week before? Last week?
It? I think DAZN and maybe, the powers that be, Turki Al-Sheikh and all that, are keeping these guys all in the same realm. But don't you think that if AJ fights Wilder, that's a fun fight, because we've been waiting for that fight for a long time too. Fury fought Wilder, so we saw that fight. But I think people expected next, like, okay, well, we want to see Wilder AJ, but then Wilder lost to Fury, so it kind of took the impact out of that matchup with AJ. But do you think AJ, like, as a business, if you were a businessman in the sport, do you think AJ would take the risk to fight Wilder before a Tyson Fury fight?
I wouldn't. Because didn't we see it recently? What fight was it? We had someone had a warm-up fight before and looked terrible or lost, and then everyone was like, kicking off like, what? Why did we do this? This, and especially with when you're AJ, and he is a little bit tentative, and with Wilder just really throwing like bombs left, right, and center. I don't know if that's the best plan, because one of them lands. We all know Edge's not got the greatest chin in the world. So why put a potential? The Fury fight's probably going to be at least 2, right?
You would think, and if Wilder pulls it off and beats AJ,
yeah,
do people really want to see a 4th Wilder Fury fight?
So it's. Fury said, I think, after on the day and when he did some interviews, that all he wants is AJ, or if AJ is not, he says he wants to fight Usyk because he believes he was cheated out of it, so he wants to fight Usyk. So I don't think anyone really wants to see a 3rd Usyk fight. I think we both agree that Usyk dominated him pretty well. Well, was it the second fight? Fury was pretty good, but still beat him pretty convincingly.
Yeah.
The first one, he had him falling all over the ring.
Yeah, he did. So, what are the chances that we see AJ versus Fury versus AJ, however you want to say it, by the end of this year?
I think I'm saying
60%.
Yeah, I was going to say around 60 or 70% because of Turkey, because I think that if he really wants it, he's got a ridiculous amount of money where he can make it happen.
Yeah. And he was in the ring. He was trying to get AJ to come in the ring, but he didn't really. He looked at Eddie Hearn, and he was trying to get Eddie Hearn in the ring, but Eddie Hearn didn't come in. I mean, yeah, it was just. I think everybody expected AJ to go in the ring after the fight, right? But then it was kind of awkward. I was like, oh, he doesn't want to go in the ring. And then you kind of read between the lines and you understand, oh, okay, well, he doesn't want to make it seem like he's following Tyson Fury. And he's like, oh, I'm the guy, They both think they're the A side. So.
And I don't think now they have anywhere else to go. Like, that's always been the biggest payday, but they always kind of avoided it because he had other fights.
Yeah.
Whereas now, like we just said, like Fury doesn't really have anyone else to fight. He's fought like Chisora and White and Wilder, and he's got Usyk and AJ, and then the other guys below that are probably too young and not really any reason to fight them. And same as Joshua, like he's only really got Wilder and Fury. Like, does he want to go back in there with Daniel Dubois? Daniel Dubois like knocked him down like God knows how many times, right?
Right.
And then, do you want to see Fury, Fabio Wardley? Like, not really. Like, it's a good fight, but there's no like storyline to it. I don't think it's going to be an amazing build up to it. It's not going to sell hugely, but it's a good story for Fabio.
Oh yeah, big time.
To go from, like everyone says all the time, like a white collar boxer to then stepping in with an Olympian, 2-time heavyweight world champion of the world, like AJ. So I think it's the only thing left, isn't it? AJ's fought Jake Paul, so he's had a huge payday there. Like, I think they'll make it happen eventually. I just wonder if the DAZN thing is going to be a sticking point. Like,
what's the weather like the remainder of the year? Because they're going to try to do Wembley Stadium because that's like the jewel in the crown right over there.
I think summer should be good. Autumn is hit or miss. So I think if summer and autumn, you'd be like okay, but
because Wembley Stadium kind of has an opening, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So summer. I mean, if they're going to do it in the summer, I mean, summer's coming up quick, right?
Yeah. How long?
I just don't see it with those two personalities and those two egos. I don't see it. I don't know, unless Netflix is just like, hey, if you guys don't make this, like we're not gonna make this fight. Like I'm sure Netflix had to get like some type of guarantee. But I don't know. I hope so, but I just don't see them making a deal for the summer with both of their egos and their personalities.
He's just down to Turkey. He's got that much.
No, yeah. I think he's like really going to be like, hey, what is it going to take? Like, what's the number here?
Yeah. Like if he's literally just playing like fantasy boxing fights with real money,
Yeah, it's like a video game.
Like Eddie Hearn and Frank couldn't probably do that. Like the amount of money that they're.
Oh no, not at all.
But those two, like.
Yeah, not at all. That's crazy. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think the fight will get made, but I don't know when.
The biggest
maybe AJ fights one more fight, and then they make this fight for like next spring, next year.
I think that'd be one of the biggest purses handing out to a boxer of all time.
This fight, AJ Fury.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, now with the Saudis involved, yes. Absolutely, yeah.
I think Mayweather's purse is the biggest boxing purse ever handed out.
Yeah.
Mayweather McGregor.
Yeah. Did he get more money for Mayweather McGregor or Mayweather Pacquiao? I think he got more. It was close, but I think you
were right. I think Pacquiao was slightly more, but then Dana White said that from what he heard, it wasn't. But officially,
right. Yeah,
what we've been told is
the reports. Yeah.
No,
we just don't know, right? Like, I mean,
Mayweather.
We hear all these reports over the years, and we're like, "Oh, it was these pay-per-view buys." But like after a while, we've talked to people, and they're just like, "Oh, that wasn't even." You hear so much, reports, and you just don't know if it's accurate or not. But yeah, I do think it'll be one of the highest paid boxing fights in history. Then you got to adjust for inflation, of course.
Supposedly 250 million.
Combined purses?
Mayweather's purse was 60% of the revenue taken.
For Pacquiao or McGregor?
Mayweather, Pacquiao.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, at least from what they were reporting.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be near there then.
No, yeah, they're still going to make a ton of money, but
about a third of that probably, I reckon.
Yeah. I mean, they're still going to make a lot of money, but that I don't know if we'll see that. I don't see if we'll see that payday for boxers again in our lifetime. But you never know. Yeah. 60%. Soft 60% or hard 60%? What do we think that it happens by the end of the year?
I think it will. I just think, like we said, like I think all roads lead to that fight because they don't have anywhere else to go now. The age of both fighters, like looking at Fury's last performance, and then AJ's, fought Jake Paul, his poor performance against Dubois, his performances against Usyk, getting older, and the things that have happened in his life, tragically recently. If I was him, I think he knows he's probably one step out the door, right? Just get those big purses, 1 or 2 more fights, train, get the last little bit out of the tank, and then you're done. And in a good way, I think Joshua's already lost a couple of times to a couple of different people. The loss doesn't affect him as much as I think it does Fury. Whereas I think Fury's only ever lost to Wilder, and he's only ever lost to Usyk.
Yeah.
And he's convinced himself, like fighters do, that I was down to the judges. Whereas if he gets in there and loses to AJ,
that's real to him.
Another Brit.
Yeah.
And then he'd be like, well, fuck, like I wasn't, everyone's gonna be like, well, you weren't even the best in Britain.
Yeah, that is huge to him. Yeah. I think that's also huge to AJ, but I think it's more impactful to Fury.
Yeah, because AJ, he got smoked by Dubois.
Yeah.
And so he's probably mentally, he's now, able to accept those defeats better.
I mean, it just goes to show you, right? Commercially, Usyk defeated them both. But Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua are still bigger stars than he is.
Yeah.
That just happens, right? That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, sadly, I think if you're from England or America, like you just.
Yeah. You have
just, Usyk's a funny guy, and it might be huge, in the Ukraine.
Oh yeah, I'm sure he's a superstar over there, and he's made really good money. It's not like he hasn't. He's very successful. He's very accomplished. He's gonna go down as one of the best boxers of all time, absolutely. But commercially,
I was just reading today the Inoue Nakatani fight, which is coming up in a couple of weeks. Sold out 55,000 tickets.
Tokyo Dome,
29 million gate.
Jeez. I mean, are you still surprised by this point? I mean, he's a superstar over there.
Not according to people on Twitter.
Well, of course not. But he's a superstar over there. He's a superstar. That's why he doesn't. That's why he doesn't leave. He can't. The Top Rank brought him over here for one fight, and I think he realized this isn't worth it. I'm just going to stay over there.
It's second to Otani, maybe.
Yeah. Shohei Ohtani, the baseball player for the Dodgers, is not only the biggest, most popular baseball player in the world, arguably most popular athlete in the world, most well known, but in Japan, he's like a legit star. He's pretty much Manny Pacquiao levels. How Manny Pacquiao when he on his rise in the Philippines. That's him. He's huge. And I think, not Nakatani. Why did his name just slip me? What's his name? The monster? Inoue, yeah. He's a star over there too. Yeah, I think him and Ohtani are right next to each other. And yeah. I mean, it's not surprising. That guy sells out stadiums over there. It's insane. But it works. It works for him. Why is he going to be? And in Japan, you could make, obviously, they're a very developed country. They're smaller than us, but they're very, in terms of technology and just, their GDP and their economy, they're very advanced. So he makes very, very, very good money. That's how you see some fighters from here go and fight in Japan.
Yeah.
Because they know, hey, the money's, pretty comparable over here. So, yeah, man, that's insane. That is insane. Also on this card in the co-featured, I think we touched on it earlier. Conor Benn returned after his last fight against Chris Eubank Jr. as he went up against Regis Prograis at a catch weight of 150 pounds. So Conor Benn, Prograis fought at 150 pounds. Ben got the victory by unanimous decision win with scores of 98-92 on all cards. In a pretty physical fight too. Prograis did have his moments, and I thought, oh, okay, he's kind of getting the better of him. And Prograis never been stopped, so that was definitely a test for Conor Benn. Prograis, I think, in his late 30s, 37, 38. Ben is early 30s, I believe. But it's like you mentioned earlier. It's kind of crazy to see because they just announced Ben as like a Zuffa signing, and then he comes out and fights on a Netflix platform, and there's not really any mention of Zuffa. Or I know there was mention of it, but it's just interesting to observe. But what do you think about Conor Benn's return and unanimous decision victory over Regis Prograis at a catch weight? What do you think?
Not the best performance, going in there with a faded and injured, as we're led to believe, Regis Prograis. But Conor Benn is kind of like, and it may sound harsh, but like a Jake Paul. Like he's the son of a popular fighter from the UK who's really living off that name. Because if you look at his resume, they've all been carefully selected, smaller opponents, older opponents. He's never won a British title, European title, anything like that. Very, very well selected, very well marketed. And then he fought someone like a Chris Eubank Jr., who was exactly the same. He lived off his dad's name. He's never won anything. Every time he stepped up, he lost, like Billy Joe Saunders. When he fought, the fight where I actually thought he was going to be tested was when he fought, Korobov? I think it was a PBC card over here. But Korobov got injured in the fight.
Right.
And then he won. Very, very similar careers of both of them. Done remarkably well. To Conor Benn to get $15 million for that fight against Regis Prograis. His manager deserves a fucking medal. Deserves to be knighted. That is unbelievable. The amount of money that both of them, Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn, have managed to make. But in terms of actual skill, no. Conor Benn, is just very, very fit, very strong, and like very game. But in terms of actual skill and boxing IQ, very low. Like you saw him when he first turned pro. Like he had that fight against, was it Frederick Pinu or something like that, where he got the draw when he should have lost, and then beat in a rematch.
And that was a big deal when that happened. I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just and I know everyone says he's not been the same since he tested positive for drugs. That is true, but at the same time, the competition's getting slightly better. So
right.
Maybe he never really did have the power because he was just fighting like journeymen and people that were over the hill. Like I remember it was Chris Algieri said that when he got the fight against him, I think he got the phone call 4 or 5 weeks away. But he's like, I can't really turn down the purse. One, right. He was close to retirement, or maybe even retired after that fight. Had a camp of 4 or 5 weeks. He carefully selected that opponent, didn't give them enough time to be 100%. And then offer them really good money because they know that Conor Benn sells tickets and he's going to get a knockout because everything's in his favor. So it wasn't. I thought he would maybe finish Regis, but just because of everyone said that Regis was injured and the retirement was around the corner and stuff like that. So it's all smoke and mirrors with him, unfortunately, but. If you're a cash cow like that, then you get the treatment like that. And he's puts bums on seats because of,
right.
And maybe even more so now because he's kind of gone from a face to a heel. WWE term, he's gone from the good guy and now he's the villain.
Yeah.
And people are now maybe going to come to see him because they want to see him lose.
But it works so, right? Mayweather lived off of that for the last, 8 to 10 years of his career. So if If anybody has a blueprint, Mayweather shows that, but it works. It does work. And Regis, I think Regis did put up we had talked about it before, but I think we picked Ben to win just because, Regis has been in the game for a long time, he has a lot of mileage, but I still wasn't surprised at the effort Prograis put out there because he tested him. He tested him and he took him 12 rounds. So, there was there were some good shots that Prograis got in there and kind of made it rough and tough. So, do you think, were you impressed by Prograis' performance, even though he was on the losing side? And what do you think is his future?
Well, I mean, he retired, didn't he, afterwards? So.
Oh, did he say he retired? Oh, I thought they were speculating. So he did say he was going to retire.
Yeah, he eventually said at the end that he was going to retire, in the locker room. I think it was an interview.
Okay.
His performance, to say that, I think he said afterwards he had a bad leg, broken rib, he had 3 or 4 different injuries. Wasn't bad. In spurts, you could see that he still had some of that twitchy, awkward movement because he had a very unique style where he would kind of throw from weird angles and he was kind of hard to work out.
Right.
But his better performances were down at 140. When he fought Josh Taylor and those guys. So. And it wasn't particularly big for that division. So to go up to I think he was pretty much 150. I think they both weighed in at just under 150.
Would you say that was his biggest fight in his career, is the Josh Taylor?
Yeah, it took Regis, he fought Devin Haney, right? Regis Prograis?
Yeah, but I'm talking about he did fight Haney, and that was but I'm talking about attention. Because Prograis didn't he go to England?
Yeah.
For Taylor?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
I'm just talking about energy, attention, the environment.
I think so. Yeah,
right?
I think that was probably because that was the fight, because it was such a good fight and the build-up and, Regis Prograis, really sold himself, I think, because he was such a nice guy to, the British fans. They really took to him. So I think, that was probably his biggest fight in terms of everything, really, in terms of attention, in terms of, scale of fight. In terms of such a good performance, because some people had Regis winning that.
That was a fun fight.
He did wonders for his career. We interviewed him just after, right?
Yeah, out here in Carson, California, at the StubHub Center or Dignity Health Sports Park or whatever it was called at the time, Home Depot Center. It's had different iterations of names, but the War Grounds is what they call it. But he was. I forgot what fight it was. We were attending, and. He was there attending, and we asked him for a couple minutes of his time after, and did talk to him. And I think we asked him about the Josh Taylor fight, right? How he was doing and everything. So he talked about that. I just remember the guy he was with, it might have been his manager or something, was trying to tell us to wrap it up, but Regis kept talking, so we just let it keep going.
Yeah, he was manager. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was cool, but. Yeah, I mean, Regis Prograis he's had a good career. He had big fights. And I'm pretty sure he got some decent paydays throughout his career, right?
Yeah, I would imagine so. He had some, some decent fights with some decent names. Looking back at his, Josh Taylor, Ivan Redkach, Jose Zepeda, Devin Haney, Jack Catterall, Jojo Diaz, Conor Benn.
Yeah. He had some. He has a nice resume of fighters that he fought. It worked out.
Yeah, WBC champion back in 2018.
Right.
Josh Taylor was a good one. And I was at the O2. Man, I was back in 2019.
That's crazy. Yeah. 7 years ago this year. Because he's 37. Yeah, he's 37. That's what I just found. So he was 30 at the time. He was pretty much the age Conor Benn is right now.
Conor Benn was on that card.
He was? Oh, yeah. Wow. Huh. What a full circle moment that is, huh?
Yeah. Derek Chisora fought David Price on that card. Lawrence Okoli won the European title on that card. And Ricky Burns lost a majority decision to Lee Selby.
Oh, man.
Oh, that's a good card.
That was a fun card, yeah. Didn't we have Lee Selby on the show before?
I went to his gym.
You went to his gym?
He was over here, and I did that thing where he punched me with the...
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Because was he in L.A.? Or what gym was he at?
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's right. Yeah, I remember I was like, we talked to him, but I was like, I know we had some type of contact with him.
Was it Maywood? I think
was it Maywood?
Maywood did gym with... he was out with Charles Huerta back in the day.
Was that? Oh, you know what? It might have been. I think you're right.
Yeah, I think it was Maywood gym.
Yeah, Lee Selby. Because he would come out here for his camps. Yeah, because I think he tell you that he's like the sparring and the work I get out here is just it's too good. Like it's not comparable to anywhere else. Like so I come out here because it's easy to find good work in terms of sparring and all that.
With Gavin Gwynn was with him.
Yeah,
also, who's been British champion, European champion, I think, Commonwealth.
Right.
He was with him as well.
So Conor Benn, going back to Conor Benn, he called out Ryan Garcia after. He says he wants that WBC title, which is, which is interesting because he signed to Zuffa. Zuffa has their own titles now, and now he's saying, no, I want the WBC title. I want Ryan. So how do we read between the lines with that, especially with Zuffa? And do we see him and Ryan fight before the end of this year? I think we do. Well, I think Golden Boy and Ryan are going to try and have, because Ryan just got the belt. So Golden Boy's going to try to convince Ryan, especially, to have like an interim fight so they can have like, hey, fight in LA. Let's have like a big fight where it's all around you. You can fight an opponent that, you're easily favored to win, retain your title, have it for a little bit longer, and then build up to like a bigger name like a Conor Benn, right?
Yeah, I mean, I could see that. They do like to stretch stuff out, but...
Like, I don't see them two meeting until next year, if anything.
I mean, the problem you have is, if everything's to be believed, Conor Benn's one and only fight for that $15 million with Zuffa was just this weekend. So he's potentially now a free agent. Does he go back to Matchroom? Was all that smoke and mirrors? If that's true, then I'm sure Matchroom don't want to work with him. Is he going to just be like a Canelo where he just picks and chooses his fights? Like, okay, let's fight Ryan. I'm going to do like a one-fight deal with Golden Boy. I honestly could see him retiring. I could see him fighting Ryan and then retiring. Because if he's had those...
Well, I mean, you think so? Because now, like you said earlier, he's kind of like... His profile is so big in English boxing, like, especially after the Eubank fights, like he's... it's like his profile just sells itself and he's going to get paydays.
I think he's going to get knocked out by Ryan, though, and I think he's...
I think that's a very intriguing fight, though. I do think that Ryan could knock him out, but because of Ryan's, like, also, like, just different, the way he approaches fights and just how different he could be coming to each of these fights, almost like a Teofimo Lopez. The Benn fight, because Benn's not like a knockout guy. He's a very, like, yeah, he's entertaining, but, like, I think a Ryan and a Conor Benn fight is pretty evenly matched in a way.
I think Ryan smokes him.
You think so? I mean, I would pick Ryan and knock him out too, but I don't know.
I think Ben's ego is so large because if you look at him, he seems to be very. If the conversation doesn't go that way, or like he thinks you're kind of being like kind of cheeky or like something to him, like when he approached the ex-boxer, was it Clifton Mitchell or someone in the crowd who'd been kind of talking crap about him? I think due to the Eddie Hearn thing or due to the drugs. And like he spat his dummy out and went crazy at him. I think if he gets in and fights Ryan, and Ryan KOs him, I think he might just walk over into the sunset after, say that's a stadium fight or a big fight. He'd have had 4 huge fights: Eubank, Regis Prograis in a stadium, and the two Eubank fights in a stadium, and then a stadium fight or a Vegas fight against Ryan, all of those for multiple millions. I think he packs it up and retires, because I'm sure deep down he must know from being in the gym and sparring, he's not a world level fighter. And he's literally rinsed every cent out of boxing by not being that amazing.
Does Ryan, he's going to try all he can to make Conor Benn come to him in the United States. But Conor Benn's also going to try to tell Ryan and Golden Boy, no, you have to come over here. We can, because that fight in the UK would sell in a stadium, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think Ryan even, what he posts and what's true is maybe different, but I think there's so many fighters that are intrigued by the stadium fights and the chanting and the atmosphere. Like, we've had fighters say it to us on the podcast before, like the atmosphere over there is completely different and they want to go. And they've said like the UK fans are the best. We've had fighters and other boxing figures say that. I think if the money's, like, as always, like we've always said, the money is probably more here, in the US, but the intrigue and the showmanship and the fans is probably over there. So it depends on what they both want. Like, Conor might be like, you know what, I'm going to take home advantage and maybe less pay. And Ryan might be like, you know what, it's a once in a lifetime thing. Let's go over there. Ryan
might never ever have a stadium fight again.
No, like that's why
that might be his only chance.
Yeah, so we'd have to see. It's
because the stadium fights here in the United States are dwindling. They are.
Was the Cowboy Stadium was like the last one? Or?
Yeah. I'm just saying, like, in terms of fighters who could pack a stadium, like I'm talking about professional fighters over here in the United States, it's dwindling. I mean,
you
can't really. It doesn't work. Like, Conor Benn and Ryan, I don't think would, you would have to like price it very, very cheaply. But Conor Benn and Ryan Garcia fighting in a stadium over here, a football stadium or American football stadium or whatever, would not sell if they're trying to price it like how they think they want to price it. So, yeah, I think Golden Boy is going to try to tell Ryan, like, hey, you're the A side. You're the champion. Make him come to you. We'll do it at T-Mobile here in Las Vegas. Like, that would be their thing. And Conor Benn's going to be like, no, let's do it at a football stadium over here in the UK. He's like, 50 to 100,000 people. And you're right. It's going to come down to, okay, and Golden Boy, I think, is going to absolutely try to stand their ground and say, no, like, you have to come over here. Because, it's like, it's easier for them for travel and all that. Like, it's, they're on the West Coast. If they stay in the United States, they, just go to Vegas. Easier logistics. And Ryan would ideally keep over here the home field advantage. So they're like, hey, that would help. That helps him a lot. But there is a chance that Ryan looks at it and says, well, I want to be a part of that stadium feel. And it could likely be the only stadium fight he ever has in his career.
Based on like a silly suggestion because it's such a big fight by itself. Co-main to Fury, AJ?
I mean, if Conor Benn was the co-main to Fury this past weekend on Netflix, I wonder if Netflix has been proposed or maybe has came across Conor Benn, Ryan Garcia on Netflix. Or maybe they've said, hey, we'll put Conor Benn, we'll try to get Conor Benn, Ryan Garcia as our co-main on Netflix and as a co-main to AJ Fury. I could see that at Wembley Stadium. And I think, honestly, at that point, I think Golden Boy would try everything they can not to let that happen. They would, because they don't have a deal. They just renewed their deal with DAZN, and they want to try to keep DAZN happy. I think they realize that when Ryan Garcia is completely out of his contract with Golden Boy, he's going to try to see who the highest bidder is. So I don't think Golden Boy expects to keep Ryan Garcia past whatever deal he has. So they're like, okay, we want to try to keep it as in-house as we can with him because he's going to, like they all do, right? Like any athlete does, whoever the highest bidder is naturally. And there's a good chance that he doesn't come back to Golden Boy. So I could see that. But then I could see Ryan doing what he's done in the past where he goes online and he makes it a big deal saying they're not listening to me because it's Netflix. And he's like, oh, I can fight on Netflix? Oh, wow. It would just increase his profile. So you think that could happen? Or do you think that Conor Benn and Ryan Garcia, Golden Boy for sure would want to keep that as a standalone event, a Ryan Garcia Conor Benn fight for sure?
I mean, pre-Turkey, I'm sure me and you both would have said absolutely no chance. That's too big a fight to be on an undercard or a co-main. But if you look at some of the Turkey cards, that like Beterbiev Bivol card and stuff like that, it had like 4 or 5 like fights that you would class as standalone main events.
Right.
And if they're going to put something like that at Wembley in the middle of summer, why not just stack the card and stick something on there? And you're going to
I think Turkey will try to talk to Golden Boy and talk to Ryan and tell them like, hey, I want this as the co-main event to AJ Fury. I think he's going to try all he can with all the resources he has. When I say resources, money, to try to put Conor Benn, Ryan Garcia as a co-main event for the WBC title as a co-main event to AJ Fury at Wembley Stadium on Netflix. And honestly, I could see Ryan and Golden Boy having another online spat with each other because of that. Because Golden Boy is going to try their hardest to be like, no, we want this as a standalone event and we want it with DAZN because they're trying to make DAZN happy now that they renewed and that it keeps more money in their pocket, which it's business. But I could see Ryan going online like he's done before and complaining about that he wants to be on Netflix and he wants to be on that card, and he's going to force Golden Boy's hand. Right? Doesn't that make sense? I mean, that I'm fully expecting that. Just because on the past history, I'm fully expecting that.
Yeah. I mean, I think all of these fights, the Fury, AJ, Ryan and Conor, like you're going to need like Turkey, I think, to come in with some like substantial paychecks to get these fights made. And I mean, he's shown that he's done it before. Look at Bivol.
I do think though that I agree that I think if you just kind of look at it, Ryan would knock him out. But I think if the fight is in the UK with Conor Benn having that home field advantage, I think that's big, man. And I think that would affect Ryan. It would affect any fighter, but I think that would affect Ryan. And I think that would give Conor Benn like a bigger boost. So Conor Benn would have an increased chance having the home field advantage just because of the passion with English fans.
Hopefully we get to see it in the summer.
Yeah, I don't expect it this summer, but it'd be great to have it this summer. But yeah, you never know. There's a lot of egos involved, a lot of money involved, but let's just see how high Turkey is going to go in his price. Because that's pretty much it, right?
Yeah, and then you do wonder, like, does the World Cup affect it?
Oh yeah, that's right.
It's huge, like the crossover of football/soccer fans in the UK that are also boxing fans.
That's right.
Is enormous. So like, is that going to affect the fights that we see over the summer? That's
right. And then last thing before we completely sign off for this episode, TNT Sports, which is also owned by Warner Brothers Discovery, and DAZN announced a U.S.-focused partnership for a new monthly live boxing event series called The Fight. It starts on the 4th of July, which is Independence Day over here in the United States. I guess some details of the deal are that monthly premium boxing events featuring top promoters aligned with DAZN, including Top Rank, Matchroom, Golden Boy, and Queensberry. Select fight nights will air on TNT Sports US networks, which is traditional TV, linear TV, and be simulcast and streamed globally on DAZN. And then it says, there's going to be additional shoulder programming like press conferences, studio shows, and all that. And also additional content with Bleacher Report, which is Bleacher Report is also owned by Warner Brothers Discovery, same company. So I think that's really good for the United States market of boxing that happened, because TNT Sports is also under the same umbrella, essentially the same company connected to HBO. So essentially, if you look at it like that, in a way, HBO is kind of back in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, in a roundabout way, I guess.
Because TNT, if you look at it this way, right now, HBO Max does have live sports. They have like live baseball right now, especially because it's baseball season, and they have basketball and certain select games. But if you kind of look at if you want to call it combat sports, the portfolio, they have an ongoing agreement with what's the professional wrestling, AEW, All Elite Wrestling, where every week it's I believe it's they have a show on TNT, which is the regular linear TV, and then it's simulcast on their HBO Max streaming service. So if DAZN is going to have these fight nights streamed on TNT, linear TV, is it eventually going to transfer over to HBO Max, and then HBO is officially back in the game?
And that'd be nice. Have HBO back, that polished show, and some of the commentators and analysis. We're kind of missing. I did like having Roy Jones. I thought he always broke the stuff down real well.
Right. You never know. Because HBO and TNT are like the same. They're connected.
It's huge for DAZN though, because obviously, they've always had, and especially now, a good catalog of fights and some good pay-per-views and consistent, fights pretty much every weekend. But they just lacked that audience, because even now with, me and you were used to using apps, but I'm sure if I, spoke to my dad or,
older generations,
the older generations, they're still not that savvy with it.
Right.
Another 10, 15, 20 years, and you could probably have just an app, and I'm sure people will be able to find it, but there are still it's probably a huge selection of older people which don't understand DAZN. They'd probably be like, what is a DAZN?
Yeah.
They have no idea, what is that? Is that a computer game?
They don't even know what that is. It's been around for 8-9 years or something.
Right. So, yeah, that's huge for them, huge for them. So, yeah, that's what, people were talking crap about DAZN all those years ago, and I think Eddie's been proven right to a certain extent. Still needs a bigger audience.
They reported that they've lost money for a lot of years, right? But they've just been able to, because they had the backing and the billionaire with what's his name? Isn't he like Russian or?
Yeah, some Russian dude.
Len Blatnick or something like that. He just has enough money to keep it afloat. I can make it work, and we'll figure it out eventually.
Yeah, and he had established markets, didn't he? Like Italy and Germany.
Right.
He'd been in there for a while, and then over here to a certain extent, and then Britain to a small extent as well. So, just takes time, doesn't it? Like anything, takes time.
No, yeah. You had to have the money, Yeah. If you don't have the money to lose, then it.
Over here, he's got to get his hands on, what do you think, football or baseball, really, to make a big wedge in the market?
Oh, yeah, but to penetrate the U.S. media rights is difficult. Yeah, because I know DAZN has partnerships internationally with, American sports, but they just don't have the U.S. rights to stream them in the U.S. Because those rights are that's the cream of the crop. But if DAZN ever gets a big sport like that, that's huge. That is huge for them, because people will subscribe to one of those big sports. But you never know. You never know. But once again, guys, we appreciate you guys listening to this week's episode of the Last Round Boxing Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe, follow, comment on our YouTube channel, whether you're listening to this on YouTube or Spotify. If you're listening on Spotify, especially, hit that follow button. If all the increased follows and all that does increase the footprint. So that definitely helps. And as I mentioned on YouTube, please subscribe. Give it a thumbs up so we can try to get into that algorithm a little bit more deeply. That would definitely help. But before we sign off, once again, Mike, go ahead and let them know where they can find us and follow us.
At the Last Round 12 on Instagram and Twitter. Be sure to join us next week. We'll be previewing the big fight, or maybe it's a big fight. We're not too sure it's a big fight. Zurdo Ramirez against Benavidez, which doesn't seem to be selling well.
Yes, from what we heard, but you never know. You never know. I'm still excited to see that fight. I think Benavidez is a favorite, but I like Zurdo. Hopefully it ends up being a really fun fight out here actually it's in Las Vegas, I believe. Just north of us in Nevada. But yeah, I hope it's a fun fight, but we will see, and we'll talk more and dive more deep into that next week. So for my co-host Michael Shepard, I'm Danny Z. This is The Last Round.
Thanks for supporting and listening to the show. Follow us at The Last Round 12 on social media. Rate, review, and subscribe. This is The Last Round Podcast.